If you want to continue to follow our adventure, click subscribe. So you don't miss anything, click the bell notification. I make videos a lot where I talk about people violating the rules, people trashing a place up. It's a problem almost everywhere we go. Then I see it online. I see, news articles, campground shut down because, it was trashed or graffiti or, it's just endless. I always give people the comment in the comment section that, it's going to be the few that ruins it for the many. Well, I've said this before, and I don't think I've ever stressed it as well as I'm going to stress it today. No, I think, to be honest, it's the many that are going to ruin it for the few. The reason I say that is freecampsite.net says we can stay here 2 weeks. Well, when I got here, it just didn't look like a regular campground. It looked like some sort of picnic area, but there were campers here. There was a camper here and here. I'm hoping I got that pointed out right, but regardless. Well, there was 2 campsites set up. There were several tents at the first place I just pointed to, and then there was a travel trailer, the second spot I pointed to. So I started questioning how long we could camp here. Freecampsites.net isn't always correct. As a matter of fact, in the George Washington National Forest and the Thomas Jefferson National Forest, freecampsites.net says, or used to say at least, that you can stay there 14 days. But when you actually read the rules on the bulletin board and on the website, it says 21 days, which is really odd. Most everything's 14 days. So when I got here, I started looking around for rule boards and different things, and I couldn't find anything. Here's the bathroom, for example, running water, trash cans all over the place. A really nice place, but it looks like a picnic area. The guy in the travel trailer comes over to the campground and he wants to start a conversation. And I said, how long you been here? And I think he said 3 days. And I said, well, how long can you stay here? You got any idea? He says, no, I have no idea. I'm just gonna stay here until they kick me out. Well, he's not here and they didn't kick him out. What ended up happening was he found a better spot across the other side of the lake. The point is the statement, I'm going to stay here until they kick me out. This is like the 4th time I've heard that statement since we've left Missouri back in January, and it's April now, just by random folks that I meet out here. In 4 months, I've met 4 people who have said, oh, I'm just going to stay here until they kick me out. Well, this is a real problem to me because the National Forest Rangers really, I don't think, get paid to go around patrolling to see who's staying longer than the 14 days. Their money is stretched thin. I know people are going to say, oh, we pay taxes. I get it all the time. That seems like if you pay taxes, that means that they have to do exactly what you want them to do. As more people come out here, the National Forests and BLMs are actually getting less revenue. Money's being cut. So that means there's less oversight on these campgrounds. So when these rangers have to come out here to kick people out, well, why do that when they can just shut it down? It's just as easy to shut these places down. Well, it's actually easier just to shut these places down, not have to deal with it. That way they can spend their money towards firefighting activities, restoration projects, and wildlife management, which is the primary reason they exist anyways, not to go around kicking people out. I watched a video a long time ago, and I know there's a lot of controversy about this video. A lot of people say it's not anybody's fault. It's the BLM's fault. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. The problem is once it becomes a burden, then it becomes non-usable. But I watched a video that interviewed a ranger from the BLM. And the ranger said, on the video, they do not enforce the 2-week rule. Now, there is a 2-week rule, but they don't enforce the 2-week rule in Ehrenberg, Arizona. Well, the video, gets thousands of views. And what happened almost instantly, it got flooded with people. And they all stayed longer than the 2-week rule. We can argue that it was the ranger's fault. We can argue that it was the YouTuber's fault. No, what happened is people don't respect the things that need to be respected. To prove my point, I just recently told you about a guy who had taken up residence in the Apalachicola National Forest. He'd been there probably about 4 months. Well, finally the rangers came out and told him to leave. The problem with that is when they told him to leave, he had accumulated so much stuff that he couldn't move it all. You know, he even had a motorcycle out there. So, you know, he had his van, his travel trailer, and a motorcycle. Well, so what he did was he took all his stuff out and threw it out in the forest. The stuff he wants to keep, so he used the forest as his storage area, his storage unit. And he told me that when he comes back, he'll pick it up. So he's going to leave it out there for the extended amount of time that he's got to stay out of the forest and then come back and pick it up. They pick up residency is what the problem is. And once you pick up residency, then that means you go out there and you want to spend just, you know, a couple days out there, 14 days, you know, whatever the rules say. But you can't because you got all these people who have taken up residency. And so you don't get to enjoy the BLM because essentially what you've done is just moved into an RV park or a trailer park. And they've brought all their stuff in. Well, it gets even worse than that. A lot of these folks who don't move around and want to take up residency, the reason is they don't have reliable transportation. So now you have cars parked out there that won't run, and it just becomes a big junkyard. I met another couple who just started this lifestyle, and they'd been out there 2 weeks, I think, when we got there. And I was talking to them, and I said, when you guys leaving? Oh, we're not going to leave until they tell us to leave. And I said, do you think that's wise? I said, aren't you worried about them shutting down these parks because of it? Well, if they shut it down because of us, then that's just ridiculous. See, that's the mindset. If I do it, it's no big deal. You know, they'll come out, they'll tell me to leave. What they don't realize is these rangers have to come out all the time and tell people to leave. So the only thing I can think is if you know that somebody's been out in the national forest for longer than 2 weeks, or the BLMs, and you're sure of it, they've told you, whatever the case is, and call the national forest, tell them that you know that somebody's been out there for longer than 2 weeks. Thanks for watching. Click like if you like the video, and happy travels.